members of the 7th Administration Cabinet, including the Deputy President, Ministers and Deputy Ministers, will be sworn in at the Cape Town International Convention Centre this morning.
Yeah, the new executive is made up of various members from parties in the Government of National Unity. Now, Chief Justice Raymond Zondo will preside over the swearing-in of the executive. Our reporters Ziyanda, Ngcobo and Junior Khumalo are in Cape Town. They join us now live as those preparations take place. Ziyanda, I'll start with you. Good morning. I think that this might be one of the more highly anticipated swearing-in ceremonies we've ever seen, with South Africans obviously wanting to familiarize themselves with who is going to be leading which department.
Absolutely, Naledi, and it's the first time that this kind of swearing-in is taking place insofar as the context of there being different ministers from different political parties across the political spectrum. So we'll see all kinds of ministers, and this, I suppose, is a victory, Naledi, that we've reached this point, because just look at what's happening in the Gauteng province, where they're just struggling to actually put together an executive. So this is also a big signal, and obviously, a big symbol of the fact that the 7th administration, the work of this administration is firmly underway as soon as that swearing-in ceremony takes place. As you've mentioned, Chief Justice Raymond Zondo will be presiding over today's proceedings, much like what we saw, with the swearing-in ceremony last week. It's just that this time, of course, they will also be taking their oath, similar to the one that the president would have taken, or their affirmation, I should say, and that will also be their commitment to institution building. For an example, Naledi, the work and the business of the day has already gotten underway for some of the ministers who've been meeting with their DGs, trying to foster those interpersonal relationships that are very critical to ensure that there's stability in these institutions, and of course, trying to foster a culture of efficiency.
Yeah, and of course, we've been watching, the road up until this point for quite a while, right? It was the precedent-setting election, and then, of course, the first sitting of the National Assembly. And Junior, I'll come to you, because now we've heard, of course, from the president just towards the end of last week that the opening of Parliament is set for the 18th of July as well. It's been quite a road. Are we seeing arrivals and people perhaps talking about really what they're expecting to see from this cabinet that will be swearing in today?
No arrivals yet, Naledi. We do expect some of these ministers and deputy ministers designate to start making their way to this place maybe at around 9 o'clock. So in the next hour, we do expect them to start making their way into this venue. As you already indicated earlier, we are having this event taking place at the Cape Town International Convention Centre. Usually it's at the Union Buildings or at the Parliamentary Precinct. This time around, they couldn't hold it at the Parliamentary Precinct because there's an induction of the members of Parliament that were actually sworn in a few weeks ago. So that induction started on Tuesday. It's going to continue until tomorrow. So that's why they couldn't hold this event at the Parliamentary Precinct. We also know that part of the Parliamentary Precinct was gutted down in that fire that took place in 2022. So this is why we find ourselves in this venue right now. But we do expect to start seeing some of those security detail coming in to start sweeping this area before all of those ministers, deputy ministers, as well as the president and the Chief Justice start making their way here. We are going to be speaking to the Net Joint spokesperson, Atlanda Mate, who said she's going to come in the next hour and just brief us on the security around this Cape Town Convention Centre, because we know that there's going to be a lot of high-level individuals that are going to be in attendance. We do expect the program to start kicking off at around 10. So we will be keeping an eye out on those ministers and deputy ministers to try and catch them before they come in and just get an understanding of what their plan looks like as they go into this 7th administration. Have they spoken to their predecessors just to get some advice from them? We will try and get all of that information, Naledi.
Just a last bite from you. I mean, we are seeing, again, and I say this, the formation of this government of national unity, and the word unity being an important one, because to get to the point where we had cabinet ministers was a long road. In Gauteng, the executive is still not decided upon. So is there a sense that we're going to be seeing political parties that, in your view, might very well still be at odds with each other to some extent?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, testing.
Not quite, Naledi. I think there is a sense that there's a need, to go forward. And there isn't a single political party, I would argue, that wants to be seen to be disruptive and not wanting to get on with the business of the day. What we're seeing in Gauteng is more about the local dynamics when it comes to the various political parties in that particular province. But at a national level, I would say that there is a semblance of wanting to get things done. As my colleague Junior just mentioned now, some of the new ministers have met with their predecessors to get those handovers, to get a sense of what needs to be done. And I think a lot of the analysts have been quite clear about what needs to be done in terms of ensuring good governance, since this is the first time we enter into an era where you have a minister who might come from a different political party, and also continuing, the ability of the institutions to, implement the policy. Some programs would have already been ratified by the previous minister. How do you ensure that sustainability, the relationships that they build, the cultures, understanding the institutional culture, understanding government? So a part of the swearing-in ceremony, there will also be an induction of these ministers and deputy ministers by institutions like the Public Services Commission to understand how, the nitty-gritties of protocols within the government work, so that you don't have this broom sweeping kind of tendency where one comes in and wants to get rid of anyone, but really trying to be good managers in a way, and ensuring that there is that cohesion as well between, the ministry and the various departments.
Yeah, and of course we'll be looking at all of those faces as they take their oath of office this morning. Thank you so much. Our reporters Junior Khumalo, Ziyanda, Ngcobo, coming to us live from Cape Town. In fact, throughout the day they'll be bringing us all of those proceedings, and a great opportunity as well for you to get to know who the various ministers are. And you're more than welcome to send us your thoughts on how you think they will fare and what you think they'll prioritize at Newsroom 405.